Now, here's Ed Bernstein.
Hey, welcome to our show. I guess I should mention that this is our first in-studio show since, well, way back when. You all know when the beginning of all this happened. So we've been doing Zooms for forever, and thank you, Fred Luna, for all those Zooms and keeping our show going. My guest today, now it's interesting, John Di Domenico, that you do impressions.
Right.
So when people see you one-on-one like this, you're probably not very often recognized.
No,
right.
Almost never.
Almost
unless they hear my voice.
Yeah, I mean, you could be Austin Powers.
It
or
could
you
be
could
Austin Powers, maybe,
yeah.
Yeah. I'll do a show in front of thousands of people, and no one knows who I am post-show. But if I'm at the bar, at the hotel where I'm performing, and people hear my voice, they're like, wait a minute, was that the guy?
They recognize, yeah.
Right, and I'll get, hello, everybody, good to see you. Like, hey, you were that guy.
Hold it, I'm getting this. Yeah, I mean, this is our first show back. I'm getting some sort of message
from the... Oh, you're getting a little issue? No, it's fine.
Yeah, what? Hold it. Oh, I don't know. The directors wanted... What, interrupting the show? Oh, okay.
Oh.
Can
you hear me? Can you hear me? Good, it's me, President Trump, greatest president in the history of presidents, other than the late, great Abe Lincoln, who, by the way, not an attractive guy. Not an attractive guy. I mean, a big mole on his face, straggly beard, bad hair, and his wife. Wow, maybe a 3. Maybe a 3, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. But I'm the greatest president in the history of presidents, and that's why I am here today, and I am back. I am back, and I am not going anywhere. Believe me, I have to tell you, because this is why I'm here, because I do such a tremendous job. And look at the new seal. Look at the new seal. Can you see the seal? This is the new Trump seal, okay? We've updated the seal, and I'm back here in the White House. I snuck back in. Sleepy Joe doesn't even know I'm here. He's walking around upstairs like, oh, where am I? Sarsaparilla, malarkey. But I'm the one down here talking to all of you right now, because I'm doing an absolutely tremendous job. I'm getting more done not being president than I did being president, but I'm still the president, if you could follow my very, very unique logic, because I'm a stable genius with a very big brain, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. And no one knows brains the way I know brains. And no one knows attorneys the way I know attorneys. I've got more attorneys than any other person in the history of the law. No one knows the law the way I know the law. And that's why I have so many attorneys. I've got great attorneys, fantastic attorneys, the best attorneys. I don't pay them, but they're really wonderful, wonderful people who work very, very hard on my behalf. And that's why I'm talking to you right now on the Ed Bernstein Show. The Ed Bernstein Show. Ed is fantastic. He's absolutely incredible. When I go to Las Vegas, by the way, when you go to Las Vegas, what do you see? You see the incredible Trump Tower. It's right in the middle of the Strip. And what do I always say? If it's not a Trump hotel, it's a dump hotel. It's a dump. It's true. It's true. Don't say anywhere else. But you see my hotel, and it's a wonderful place to stay. You know what people love about my hotel? The pool. The pool. I have the greatest pool on the entire Strip. You know why? The water. It's wetter water. It's the wettest water in all of Las Vegas. But when you think of Las Vegas, you think of me, and you think of Ed Bernstein. You know, I've got my one building, but Ed's got about 5,000 billboards. This guy's literally everywhere. You can't avoid him. You can't get rid of him. And, of course, the show, which you're seeing me on right now. But that's the beauty of Las Vegas. It's a small town, but it's a big town. And it doesn't matter where you're from. Las Vegas is the complete opposite. Believe me. No one knows better than me. And that's why I always come to Las Vegas to do my rallies. But I've never done the Ed Bernstein Show. And I like you, Ed. I really, really do. But you've never invited me on. And don't think I don't think about that. Believe me. And I know Ed's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a fantastic, big fan of the Golden Knights. And you know, what do people say all the time? Before Trump, no Golden Knights. After Trump, Golden Knights. Does anyone thank me? No. course not. Of course not. But we're finally getting beyond the COVID-19, and we're getting back to doing things and going back to the Golden Knights games and the Allegiant Stadium. I call it Roomba Stadium. Looks like a giant Roomba just moving all over Las Vegas, cleaning it up. It's doing a really tremendous job, and so is Ed. But Ed, I wanted you to know that I want to be on your show, so I've taken over the airwaves, as they say, and soon I'll be back because the great Mike Lindell, the election expert, told me I'm going to be back in as president on August 13th. So I'll be back. So you better have me on right now. You better play this. Don't block this, okay, Ed? All right, folks. I'm so excited to be on today's Ed Bernstein show. Okay, that's it. Are we done? Kelly, are we done? Was that enough? Okay, good. Fantastic. Ivanka, how did I look? How was my hair? Was it okay? All right, fantastic. You're a lucky man, Ed, because I'm not going to charge you my usual $5 million presidential fee. So you're going to get me for free, which I don't usually do.
When did you first do Donald Trump?
I started doing Donald Trump. Here's the thing. I was really fascinated by him because I was going to move from Philadelphia to New York to be an actor. So it was around 85. And I thought, let me learn about New York. I learned about the history of New York. But there were these two people just kept popping up. Leona Helmsley, who you may remember, and Donald Trump. Right. Every time I would check the paper or up there for an audition, Donald Trump. Like, who is this guy? And so I started kind of looking into him. And then within a short period of time, I was working at Trump Plaza performing, then I ended up doing a show there, and I met him, and all these things kind of fell together. Like, this guy's really fascinating. And I thought, he doesn't really speak like anybody else. He has a very interesting way of speaking, and he'd always been in my head for a really long time. And I actually co-hosted his 55th birthday at the Castle in Atlantic City. And then I started doing him around 2004, and the very first job I ever got, just doing voice, not full makeup, was for him. I supplied the voice of him at Trump Taj Mahal's The Boardroom Game, which was kind of a knockoff of The Apprentice. Right. And then the next job I got was for him, full makeup, and I had to appear on Fox News. He was unavailable for a commitment for a cross promotion between The Apprentice and Embassy Suites. So I had this weird connection to him, and I started doing impressions when I was literally 5, 6 years old. But him, he kind of was in my head for so long.
And was he happy about the impressions you were doing?
From what I understand, the mere fact that they were firing me, firing me, that they were hiring me for these jobs, and then in the first year of his presidency, I was at Fox News doing I did 50 appearances on Fox. I met Kellyanne Conway. She said to me, like, "Can I get a selfie with you? He loves you." He said, "You're the nice Trump," and that's her quote. So he was very aware. He was aware of me before, and he was aware of me in the. He
didn't like the Saturday Night Live one.
No, he wasn't really happy about Alec Baldwin. Which is ironic because I've opened for Alec a number of times.
Yeah. So when you, how do you keep up with what you're talking about as Donald Trump? I mean, you read the newspaper, follow the news.
Yeah, and what
watching
I was doing,
Fox, watching CNN, watching
everything.
Yeah.
I would get up early in the morning. I would check his Twitter feed first because that was usually the epicenter where things were going to happen. Then I would check the New York Times, Washington Post, all those things, MSNBC, Fox News, anything where I could get it. And I usually do it on YouTube and the paper because they would just do 3-minute stories, which kind of just took everything and kind of compressed it for me. So, and also I was doing appearances almost every single day. So I was on Australian TV, British television, Irish television, Indian television. This went on for like 5 years. Yeah. So I really had to keep up on absolutely everything. And I remember doing one interview, and it was really early in the morning, and I hadn't checked the paper. And they had said something. And what about Dan so-and-so? And I'm like, well, I didn't even know what to say. It had the story broke, but I hadn't caught up because things were happening overnight, and they were happening so fast. And I just thought, no matter what, I've just got to check. Before I do anything, I have to check and be up to date because things broke so fast.
Especially during his presidency, sometimes in a single day, you'd have 5 or 6 totally distinct news stories coming from out of Trump Trump
Oh,
world.
it was crazy. And I would shoot, I did a lot of content on my YouTube channel. I'd shoot, 5-6 minute videos that did really well, or I'd put them on Twitter if they were 2 minutes. And sometimes I have to sit down and write them. Unless I could improv the whole thing, but I, get in my studio, shoot them, and by the end of the day, something you just said, a bigger story rolled over that story.
Right.
And if I put that up now, it would almost be old news, because it wasn't even a 24-hour news cycle.
Right.
Sometimes it was a 6-hour news cycle under him. So him not being in office right now has actually made it easier to write and kind of craft my scripts a little better. I actually put something up today. So
you kind of implied that when you first started noticing Trump, it was his voice, was it the cadence? I mean, you go with the body language or the cadence. I mean, what attracts you first? What do you learn first?
The thing I learned first is just how the voice sounds to me. I love Peter Falk and Columbo. Right. So for me, it was always like, "Sarah, I hate to bother you." And I loved the way it sounded so gravelly.
But this is also so much part of Columbo, right?
Yeah,
he's always
his physicality.
think.
Right, he's always thinking, and he's always playing dumb.
Right.
And that's how he kind of ensnared
walks away,
people.
Comes back,
right.
Finish the conversation, walk away, and come back.
One more thing, sir. One more thing. You said you were a vegetarian, but when I walked in, you had a ham sandwich. It was always those little nuances. So I always look for that. One of the first voices I ever did was Ed Sullivan, because I grew up watching the Ed Sullivan Show, and now right here, and what tipped me off was, on the Ed Sullivan Show, he had a lot of people who did Ed Sullivan.
Right.
So Frank Gorshin would be on, or David Fry would be on, or even Jackie Mason, and they would do it. I'm thinking, all these people can do Ed Sullivan, and as a kid, I thought, I wonder if I could do that. And I also had a severe speech impediment as a child.
Of what, like a stutter?
No, not a stutter. I would talk like this. I would talk like, everyone said I talk like Elmer Fudd. So everything was in the way, but when I did the voices,
THs
yeah, I had none of those, and I would drop S's. Yeah. And the funny thing was, when I did the impressions, everyone could understand me perfectly. So when I got into first grade, they diagnosed me, and I did 8 years of speech therapy, from first grade to 8th grade, 2 times a week. And those wonderful speech therapists, speech pathologists really taught me the mechanics of how to break down a voice. Wow. And that's how I approach all voices, especially someone like Trump, because there's so many elements. There's throat placement and nasal placement. There's actual vocal production. And where is the sound being made? Is it in his mouth? Is it here? Is it here? Every person you do is a little different. So you want to break those elements down and then reassemble them.
Wow. And it's amazing that it started with the speech impediment, and then, it's the old story. I mean, you took lemons, made lemonade out of it, right?
Yeah, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
So
oftentimes for a lot of professions.
Yeah, so it's worked out for me, and I love to do it, and I love acting and comedy writing, and I love doing what I do with my characters, and Trump kind of especially, because he's like such a zeitgeist moment. It's like the perfect mix for me. And you've seen me perform, and I can do 35, 40 minutes, and that's what I like to do, like kind of incorporate it, make it kind of stand-up-ish, and a performance at the same time.
Right, because you can ad-lib. I mean, some of what you do is rehearse, but if somebody in the audience makes a comment, you come right back.
I'm going right to that. Correct. I want to be in the moment, and I want to live in the moment as a stand-up, but have that written out enough as a monologue, as an actor, as like maybe John Leguizamo in his show, or Eric Bogosian when he used to do his shows, things like that. So it's like a one-man show, but with a stand-up element.
Did you do cartoon characters as a kid?
Oh, my God, yeah.
You silly wabbit.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, I already sounded like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
But I loved Bugs Bunny. I loved he was quick and he was funny, and there were so many wonderful things about those characters.
Right. I mean, so look, you do so many characters. Okay, let's talk about some of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Evil. I mean,
Dr. Evil.
I mean,
right.
How many? When you talk about, other than putting Donald Trump aside for a moment, Dr. Evil is probably the second most impersonated character in the last 20 years.
On Earth.
Right?
Right. And Mike Myers, I started doing, remember Wayne from Wayne's World, 91? All right, excellent. Hi, I'm Wayne Campbell from Aurora, Illinois. Excellent. Swing. All right.
So I loved Mike Myers. As soon as he came on the comedy scene on Second City and then on to Saturday Night Live, I was like, this guy's amazing. And we're very close in age and same round face. And he was doing all these characters. And when Austin Powers came out, and I was like, well, I've already done Wayne, and that was 6 years ago. I started doing Austin Powers, and people were like, were you doing Dr. Evil? And he has just created, kind of like what you said, so many things he has said and created are now part of American vernacular, our lexicon. You know, Scott, you're just not evil enough. You're quasi-evil. You're semi-evil. You're the Diet Coke of evil, just like Hillary. You know, just all these, yeah, baby! You know, it's such a great character. I love it, and I've done Austin around the world, and people from 50 yards away will see me in full gear, and they'll just smile. He's such a brilliant character. Both of them, the yin and the yang. You know.
Okay, so you start with the voice and where it's coming from, but so much of what you do is the body language.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Donald Trump or even what you just did with Dr. Evil. You know, with the finger and the Austin Powers with the look, the eyes, and I mean, so is that? I mean, it takes a lot of practice.
It takes a lot of practice, and what I try to do with all of my characters, no matter who it is, like my background is theater. So you know, in high school, you can really just do theater and maybe a little TV production. Then went on to college theater, and then I did off-Broadway and off-Broadway and Weehawken, New Jersey. But I was always doing a lot of theater, and I trained as a theater actor. So my approach to any of these characters is not an impression or an impersonation. It is to bring them to life, to make them a three-dimensional, living kind of thing. That's why I'll spend the money on a $4,000 Trump wig and real Trump suits and and Austin Powers. All those suits were custom built. That wig was built for me. Those glasses are prescription glasses, and it's just. I want to do a character for you, and I want to do it in such a way that it's a theatrical presentation, and I'm not pulling you. I want to minimize what's going to pull you out of this performance. So the hair has to be right, the glasses, the makeup, the mustache, the suit, the tie, the shirts. I want all those things to be right, as if it was a stage performance. Wow. You know, that's what I want to do. Along with, you know, getting the voice right, getting the material right on the comedy. You can see my host of wigs for all of my, you know.
A lot of detail goes into it.
Yeah.
How do you refer to yourself? Are you an impressionist, an impersonator, a tribute artist? What do you call yourself?
First off, I cannot stand the term tribute artist.
Okay.
I don't know who invented that. I am an actor. I'm a comedic actor who happens to do voices and impressions, just like Frank Gorshin. Frank Gorshin was he was a really rock solid actor, you know. And there's a bunch of other actors really well-known actors who all do impressions and all do voices. And if you look at some of the...
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin, who's is Pacino, is off the hook. So many great voices. So I try not to say, I mean, I have to identify myself as an impersonator. That's how I kind of sell myself. But in my mind, I'm an actor, and that's what I've always wanted to do, and that's what I do in my mind.
Anybody ever sue you, threaten to sue you?
I have been sued.
Yeah, you have been sued.
Yeah. By one of the most the suit came out of nowhere. They sued me in federal court, and they sued me in California state court. And then I was like, what is happening? Like, this is a known person.
Right.
And it turned out I can't even talk about it because of the way the deal was.
But it was somebody you were doing an impression of.
I was doing an impression of, and it wasn't even that. The weird thing, it wasn't even that person. It was an actor's portrayal of that person. Yeah. And it turned out these guys just troll people like me.
What is the legal standard for that?
The legal standard is, if it's parody and satire, you're covered. It's also covered under free speech. Right. If it is there's a proper term for it. It's a known person, and they're fine. This person's family had taken their name and likeness and somehow has an agency represent. This person's long dead. representing them.
But once you die, isn't it fair game?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, and these people this is what this company does. It just sues people like me, and I was very, very surprised. And there's no trace of it anywhere. Part of the deal was just to remove him. But I could go online right now and give you 3 people who are doing that same exact person. They just haven't found them.
Well, look, I mean, Vegas is kind of famous for this.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Elvis impersonator, whether
Marilyn
it's
Monroe,
Sinatra,
right.
Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, I mean, the whole Rat Pack thing, right? I mean, that's...
it's part and parcel. I was kind of surprised, and it hasn't happened again, and I did do my due diligence to make sure any of the other characters I'm doing are in the clear.
What does that mean, in the clear?
Just that their images are not being represented by this particular agency that represents dead people, and that and I actually said to them, what was all said, let me have a list of your clients, so I'm not doing them.
Right.
You know, this is not something I'm interested in.
They cooperated with that?
Yeah, they were fine. Yeah, they were fine. They gave me the whole list. You know.
Well, it makes it easier for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did Austin Powers, Dr. Evil.
Yeah. Dr. Phil.
Is he popular? I mean,
Yeah, he actually is. You know, one of the things that's interesting is I think you and I are kind of in the same age range. You know, you and I are kids. It's whatever year. There's 3 networks: NBC, ABC, CBS. That's it. 2 UHF channels. That's coast to coast.
Right.
And you look at someone like Rich Little and again Frank Gorshin. They all kind of did the same voices. The thing is, we now live in a time where it is so fractionalized, so split. You have people who don't even watch linear television. My nieces and nephews do not watch TV. They don't even know half the characters that I do. But if you go back 50 years, everyone knew Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney and Henry Fonda, because our cultural history in this country went back to the turn of the century. Because I know who Charlie Chaplin is, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd. But we live in a country now where our cultural history is like 2 weeks old. So it's much harder to do voices and full-on makeup and characters that are relevant. And someone like Dr. Phil is still relevant because he's on television every day. Everybody knows Dr. Phil, and he got in under the wire, you know, before that generation of people who, you know, pretty much get everything from social media and their entertainment from TikTok and, you know, all these different platforms, and not necessarily television.
Okay, so Dr. Phil, Sean Connery.
Yes.
Inspector Cousteau.
Yes, and you know, and again, like a lot of people, unfortunately, Peter Sellers is one of the greatest comedic actors of all time, and a lot of people don't know who
Peter Sellers
Inspector Cousteau is anymore. Is it your minky?
Not only that, it gets remade, and there's another actor doing it,
Right.
and it's never as good as the original.
Never as good as it.
Right.
And I love Steve Martin, but it just doesn't, you know, and it doesn't really keep the Peter Sellers alive.
Okay, now, okay, you have Zorro. You have a Spanish accent, too?
So we had, it's Antonio Banderas.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I have
From
to
the
do
movie,
an
from the
Antonio
movie,
Puss and Boots. So we were doing an event in Mexico or Spain or somewhere, and they wanted Zorro, so I had to become Zorro of all things. And this is another Mike Myers character. That's Guru Pitka. That's what his character he was doing in They Love Guru.
What do you think of Sacha Baron Cohen?
I think he's. I think what I've never liked candid camera. I don't like people being punked.
Right.
I don't like practice. So that part of it, I'm not necessarily a fan of. I think he's a really talented guy, and I know what goes into trying to keep a straight face or not break character in those type of situations. But I've seen him act in some films. I just think he's just a really talented. He's really committed to what he's doing, and I think that's great. And he's going to go on to do some pretty major acting roles. His straight acting roles have been incredible.
Yeah, talented guy.
Yeah.
It's okay. Dick Clark.
Yes. Yeah, there was a point when I lived in New York, I was doing, and my face was a little thinner. just so everyone knows. It's not like this pumpkin head I have right now. But I was much thinner, and I had a great wig, and I was able to look like Dick Clark.
The old Philadelphia guy, right?
Yeah,
American
yeah,
Bandstand.
American Bandstand. And a very smart guy, too, by the way. He bought the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
and just kept going off from
And
there.
made a lot of money. So
Yeah.
I love those kind of stories.
Groucho Marx is something everybody in that time period was
Yes,
doing, right?
and the thing is, here's the beauty of Groucho Marx, and sadly people don't. They've had a renaissance a number of times. The Marx Brothers have had all these different renaissances. But Groucho Marx is actually in part of my Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has a very musical voice. And hello, I must be going. I came to say I cannot stay. I must be going. I'm glad I came, but all the same, I must be going. There's a lot of Groucho in my Trump impersonation.
What's your favorite word?
Right. Say the secret word, $100. But he was great. And you go back and watch some of those Marx Brothers films, and they're still hilarious. It was just so funny. And I just love him. And I love what he's done for comedy. And I kind of try to always infuse Groucho in what I'm doing, because he was just so wondrous in his performances. The way he would dance. He was this 50-year-old guy dancing like a maniac, and Chico and Harpo and Zeppo and all these great characters.
You mentioned social media.
Yeah.
You and I were talking before the show about how many followers do you have?
On TikTok, we have 5.2 million.
5.2 million.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it.
You had to be like in the top 100.
Oh no, there's some people with a lot more. We're pretty high up in certain. There's a thing on TikTok where it's called trends, and we trend really high in certain areas, and it's very flattering. And I have people will duet your videos. So I have people duetting my videos from Indochina, from India, from Vietnam. It's really flattering, and it's amazing that you can reach people.
Okay, John, where can people reach you?
You can go to my website, thejohnnydshow.com, or on Instagram at the Johnny D Show, or on TikTok at the Johnny D Show, or YouTube. Go subscribe on YouTube at John Di Domenico Comedy. You can put my name in. So,
okay, say goodbye, Donald Trump.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on, Ed. I appreciate it.